Hello again and welcome to the first module on bonds, and this is topic 2 where we're talking about who issues bonds and why. So to kick this topic off, we're actually going to look at comparing bonds versus shares. So if you do go online, we've got other slides and manuals that talk about shares in the equity market, and now we're just going to do a brief comparison without going into too much detail about shares. But if we compare bonds and shares, when it comes to ownership, when it comes to shares, there's an actual transfer of ownership from the company to the shareholder who buys the shares. Whereas with bonds, there is no transfer of ownership. It's basically the company gives the bondholder a certificate, which basically it's almost like an IOU. So the holder of that paper will get coupon payments and payment at maturity, but there is no transfer of ownership. And then in terms of shareholder value, because there's a transfer of ownership with shares, there is dilution of shareholder value. But with bonds, because there's no transfer of ownership, there's no dilution at all. And in terms of cash flow, the cash that flows for shares is known as dividends. And dividends are paid according to a company's dividend policy, but a company is not obliged to pay dividends. Whereas if an investor buys a coupon-paying bond, then the company that issues the bond is obliged to pay coupons to the investor of that bond. So the coupon payments are basically the interest payments on the bond. And in terms of repayments, for a shareholder, there is no repayment. Once you've taken your money and you've bought shares, you don't get any capital back. What you could get are dividends if the company declares dividends. Whereas with bonds, for a bondholder, at maturity, you do get back the invested capital that you've paid to purchase the bond. Okay, and then another thing to remember is that the reason why companies would issue shares or issue bonds is for funding purposes, so to raise cash. And when it comes to bonds, bonds are affected by interest rates. So interest rates may be favorable in favor of the company issuing the bonds or not, whereas for companies issuing shares, it has to do with the share price. The funding that they would receive would be based on the share price and where the shares are trading at the time that the shares are sold. And that is all for topic 2. Thank you.